everyone, we have to discuss about that interview preparation. देख लेते question 34. What are the ethical and the constitutional and the implications of the senior judges and expecting the constitutional post after the retiring, and can such an appointed and be the recognized and with the principles? No. Approach candidates and can the start and the answer and with the givings and basic the ideas and about the constitutional post for the judges and the post retirement, and then the simples and write the implications of the post retirement and employment, and also the do and the criticals and the analysis and how it the affected and principle of the independence and the impartiality introductions in India's, and it is the also and the common for the senior judges to the expected constitutional post after the retirement, and in the fact and the constitutions and of the India's, and providing for the appointment of the retired and the judges to contain and the constitutionals and the post also in the some instance, and the judges and book took the post and which we has not been the reserve and for them body and the appointed of the senior judges and to the constitutionals and post after the retirement, and races and several the ethicals and the constitutional and implications, and some of thus the implicated and are conflict of interest. The appointment and of the retired and judges and to the constitutionals and post and may create other conflict of interest if the post is related to their the previous and works as other judges, and for examples either retired and judges and appointed as the chairpersons of the National Human Rights Commissions and may have to the deal and with the cases that they had the previously and adjudicated and on as either judge. Independence of the judiciary is the appointed of the senior judges to constitutionals and post after the retirement, and may raise the concern about the independence of the judiciary, and if the judges are seen to be the anglings and forces the appointment, and it may lead into the questions and about theirs the impartials and the independence and while they were on the bench. Appointment process. The appointment of the retired and the judges to constitutional post is often and done by the government if the government and has the power to appoint and such the post, and it may be the lead and to the concern and about the politicizations and of thus the positions and the possibilities of the appointment and being the made on the basis of the politicals and affiliations and the rather than the merit constitutional and validities. The appointment of the retired and the judges to the constitutional and post and may also be the changes and on the basis of the constitutional validities, and this is the because and the constitutionals and the provided for and the independence and the judiciary, and the appointment and of the retired and judges to the constitutional post and may be the seen and as the underminings and this the principle. The appointment of the post and the retirement and judges and to the constitutional post is other complex and the issues, and there are the argument on the both sides and about the whether and it can be the reconciliated and with the principles of the judicial independence and the impartiality. It can be the argued and that the post and retirement and appointment and can be the reconciliated and with thus the principles as the judges and in the questions and have the already and retired from their the previous and positions and are the therefore no longer and serving as the active judge. They may bring the valuables and experience and the expertise and to theirs the new and rules and can contribute and positivity and to the functionings and of thus the institution. Additionally, and there the appointed unto the constitutionals and post can be the seen as the recognized of their the long and the distinguished and careers and in the judiciary. However, on the other hand, and there are the significant concern about the potentials and impact of the post-retirement appointment on the principles of the judicial independence and the partiality. First, it may the create other perceptions of the wise and as the judges and may be the seen in the beholded, beholded to the government or the ruling parties and they're the appointed them to the constitutionals and post and this the could and the undermines and the some public and the confidence in the independence of the judiciary and lead to the two other laws and of the trust in the justice and systems. Secondly, there is other risk of the conflict and of the interested and if other post and retirement judge is other appointed and to other constitutional post and that the deal and with the matters and related to their the previous works and as other judge and this could create other conflict of interest and raise the questions and about their the impartiality. For example, if other retired and judges and who has the previously and preceded and over other case and involving other particulars corporation is the appointed to other regulatory body and there the overseas that same corporation and this could create other perceptions and of the views and undermines and public the trust in the regulatory body. Conclusion: the process of the appointment and should be the transparent and the merit based rather than the influences by the political considerations and ultimately the appointment of the post retirement judges and must be the made and with the great care and to the ensures that the integrities and the independence of the judiciary is not the compromised. But measures and can be the taken to the ensures and that the increase in capital expenditures and in the budget and leads to the sustainable and the inclusive economically growth in the long run and while the avoiding and any the negative and consequences such as the inflations or the fiscal imbalance analysis approach. In this question and the candidate need to be the right and about the what and the measures and need to be the taken in the budget and to the sustainable and the long terms and economic growth and also the avoided negative consequences and such as the implementation and fiscal imbalance and thus the initiative and so bill also tackles on issues such as the implementation and the fiscal imbalance introduction long terms and sustainable and the inclusive growth in the economic needs to the economy needs and to the sum and the measures in the budget and such as the investing on the green infrastructures and project and clean the energy and capital and expenditures on the education and sustainable agriculture body to increase and the capitals and expenditure for the sustainable development and so and economically growth. The following measures may be taken in other budget and increase in the government spending on the infrastructure project and that the promotes and the economically growth and such as the transportation and energy and water systems increasing and the private investment and through the tax and the incentives and or the other subsidies and for the projects that the contributes to the sustainable and development implementing policies and that the promote the use of the clean energy and the reduce carbon emission and allocating the fund to the education and the trainings programs and that the enhances human capital and increase the productivities and increasing the research and development of the new technologies and that the support sustainable growth reducing and the unnecessary spendings and the prioritizing and investment and that the generated and long term swim benefits investing and in the renewables and energy allocating and fund for the development of the clean and sustainable sources of energy and such as the solars and wind and hydropower increasing and energy and efficiency power providing the intensive and for the adaptation of energy and the efficiency and technologies in household and the business, and investing and in the public transportation systems and supporting green infrastructures, allocating and the resources and for the development of the sustainable infrastructures and such as the green building parks and the bike lanes, and promoting and the sustainable agriculture, investing in sustainable farming practices and the providing the incentives and for the adoptions of the organic farming and techniques, and implementing other carbon tax and the introducing other tax on the carbon emission, and can the encourages and the business to reduce the carbon and the footprint, and promotes the adoptions of the sustainable practices. Investing in education and the research, and supporting research and the development of the new and the sustainable technology, and the educating the public about the importance of sustainability can help the drive and long terms and the sustainable growth in order to avoid the inflations and the fiscal imbalance, and while the pursuing sustainable development and economically growth, and the following measures and may be the taken and implemented, and gradual and implementations and of the policies and investment and over times, and can help the avoid students and shocks and to the economic, and reduce the risk of the implementations, and prioritizing efficiency and prioritizing investment in sustainable development and the practices, and that the increase in efficiency and can lead to the cost and saving, and the help reduce use the risk of the inflations, focusing on the public private focusing on the public private and partnerships and partnerings and with the private sector, and can help shares the cost and the risk of the sustain and development project, reducing and the burdens and on the government budget. Maintaining fiscal and discipline. Maintaining fiscal discipline and the maintaining other balanced and the budget, and reducing and the government and debt can help the promotes and economically sustainability, and reduce the risk of the inflations, and conducting and the careful and cost the benefits and analysis the before and the implementing any the policies or the investment, and conducting other careful and cost the benefits and analysis can help ensures that the benefits and of the policies and outrage the cost and the reduce and the risk of the fiscal imbalance, and while the doing sustainable development and economic growth, and how to the avoid inflation and the fiscal and the imbalance, and graduals and the well planned implementations of the development projects, and to avoid the student and surges in the demands and for the good and the services, and which can lead into the implementations pressures. Implementing efficient and the monetary policies and measures such as the raising interest rate, and to control the inflationaries and pressures, and implementing and the effective fiscal policies and measures such as the reducing unnecessary government spending, and the improving tax the collections, and to the maintain other balances budget, and the avoid fiscal imbalance, and promoting the international and trade and investment, and to the increase the availabilities of goods and services, and which can help to the reduce and the implementation reason pressures, and encouraging the private sector and investment in the sustainable development project, which can help to the reduce the burdens or the governments and finance, and the prevents and the fiscal imbalance. Conclusion. Achieving long-term eco the growth and the without the negative and the consequences and required the cushions and the approach are the focus on the efficiency and the collaborations, and the commitments to maintaining the fiscal discipline, and ensuring and that the sustainable development project are the implemented in other ways, and that does and not the negativity and impact the environments and or the others or the social fabrics of the communities, and which can the lead into the long term economic stability and growth. Question number 36. And what are the implications of the increasing the Chinese surveillance operation through and spy? the balloons and for the nationals and the national security and the geopolitical sustainability, what measures can be the taken and why the India to the counters and such the thread in the future discuss approach. Candidate can start and the answer and with the basic of the recent incidents and the highlights and it is the implication and world over the geopoliticals and also the suggested some the measures and which India can take. Introductions. There has been and the report of the China's and the conducting and surveillances operation using high and the altitude and spy balloons and thus the balloons and are the equipped and with the cameras and other the sensors and that can the captures an image and the collect and data from other wide areas including the military and the installations and the others and sensitive locations body. The implication of the increasing the Chinese and surveillance operation through the spy and the volumes for the national security and the geopolitical stabilities are the significant some the potentials and the implications are the threat and to the national security and the use of the spy volumes and for the surveillance operations by China's raised the concern and about the potential threat into the national security. It is the possible and that the China's and could use this the technologies and to gather the intelligence on the militaries installations and criticals and the infrastructures and other the sensitive locations and which could the improve and national the security and the tensions with the neighborings and the countries. The use of the supply volumes and for the surveillances and could increase the intention and with the neighboring countries and particularly if the China is using and them to the monitors and activities in the disputes and regions or the near the borders of the other countries. This could lead to the increased and geopolitical and tensions and the instabilities and the privacy and concern. The use of the supply and volumes and for the surveillance and raise the concern about the privacy and the human rights the data and collected and by thus the volumes and could the potentially and be the used and to the tracks the movement of individuals and the growth and which could lead and to the violations and of the privacy and civil liberties. Impact on the global norms and the increasing use of the surveillance technology including the spy volumes and why the China and could have a wider impact on the global norms and related and to the privacy and surveillances if others the countries and follow the China's lead and the start using the similars and the technologies and this could lead to the race to the bottoms and with the countries and the increasingly and the railing on the surveillances technology to maintain the control over their the population to counter the Chinese and the surveillances and operation through the spy volumes on India could take the following measures. Strengthening air the defense and India's the could and the strength and it's the airs the defense and capabilities and why the increasing the numbers of the radars and the detections and systems and along its the borders and this would and the enables and India's to the detect and track the movement of the Chinese spy balloons and in its the aircraft airspace developing counter and the surveillances and capabilities India the could and developed. It is even the counter and surveillances and capabilities and such as the deploys and it is even the drones or the balloons and the equipped and with the sensors and to the detect and track the Chinese spy balloons and diplomatics and the effort and India could engage in the diplomatic and the effort and with the others and the countries to raise the awareness and about the potential and threat of the Chinese and surveillances operations and the through spy volumes and this could help and the world and the global coalitions and against the China's use of such and the technology investings in anti and the satellites technologies and India the could and also the invest in anti-satellites technology to the disable or the destroy Chinese spy satellites and the balloons in space and India has the already demonstrated and such the capabilities in 2019 and when it's the conducted and the anti-satellite missiles test and increasing the cyber security in India. The could also the focus on the increasing it is the cyber security and capabilities to the counter Chinese and cyber the espionages and the cyber attack, and this could and the included and the missiles and such as the enhancing in encryptions and standard and the improving the critical infrastructure protections. Conclusion in the conclusion and the increasing use of the supply and volumes by the Chinese and for the surveillance operation has the significance and implication for the national security and the geopolitical sustainability. It is important and for the internationals and the community to address thus the concern and to the ensure that the use of the such technology is subjects to appropriated the regulatory and the frameworks and that the safeguard fundamentals human right and the civil liberties. How has India's the strengthened it is the economic and the strategic and the teas and with the Sri Lankas in the face of the Chinese competition. Explain candidate approach. Candidate can start the answer and with the giving basics the ideas and about the India and the Sri Lanka's ties and then the simplies. Explain India effort and to the counter China economically and the strategically and introductions. India has been the working on to strengthen it is the economics and the strategic ties and with the Sri Lanka in recent years and their efforts and are the aimed and aid the enhancing and growth the development in the both countries. Body. Some of the key and the measures and taken by the India taken by the members and to Economic Cooperation. India has been the investing in the Sri Lanka's and infrastructure including the development of ports and the highway, and this has the help and to the improve the connectivity between the two countries and has the boosted and the trade and the investment in India. Investment in the Sri Lankas are the aimed at the countering China's and influences is the reason and development assistance. India has been the providing and the development assistance and to the Sri Lankas in areas and such as the health, education and the water supply. This the assistance and is the aims and to the promoting and economics the development and the reducing the poverty in Sri Lanka. Defense. In cooperation, India and the Sri Lanka and have other close defense and partnerships and which includes cooperation in the areas and such as the maritimes. Maritime security, intelligence sharings and the counter-terrorism. This is important for the India's and as it's the sixth and to the maintain it is the strategic influences in the region. Culturals and the pupils to pupils and the ties in India and the Sri Lankas and share the cloth and the culture. Culturals and the pupils to pupils and lies and with other large numbers of the people in Sri Lanka and having the culture and the religion ties and to the India's and India has been the working to enhance thus the ties by the promotings and culturals and exchanges, tourism and education. Regional cooperation. India and the Sri Lankas are the both members of the regions and organizations such as the Southern Asia Association for the Regional Cooperation, SARC and the Bay of Bengal and the initiatives for the multi and the sectors and techniques and the economical cooperation and the BIMSTECs and the two countries and are the workings and together and to the enhances or regionals or cooperation and the promote economic integrations. Conclusion. Overall, an India effort into the strength its economic and the strategic ties and with the Sri Lankas are the aim at the countering China's influences in the region and India the investment in the Sri Lankas and are the intended to provide and the alternative to China's Belt and the Road Initiative by the enhancing the ties and with the Sri Lankas and India's the six to the promote economic growth and develop in the region and while the maintaining it is the strategic interest. Question number 23. What do you understand by the concern and of the circumstances economic? Explain with the help of the situation example. Discuss some of the best practicals of the circulars and economics models. Approach. Candidate can start the answer and with the basic ideas about the circular economic, highlight some best the practices and would overs and the also the some at the India level. Introduction and circulars and economic is and the economic models and designed to the more minimizing waste and the maximum and the use of the resources and by the emphasizing the circulars and flow of the materials and the products, and it is the based on the principles and of the reduce and raise and the recycles body. There are the several best practices associated with the circulars and economic model that have been and successfully and implemented by the business, government and communities and worldwide. And here are the some example and product that are designed for the durabilities and the repairabilities and the companies and like the Patagonas and the Eileen and the freshers and the has the increased introduce and take back the pilgrim programs and to repair the refurbish and the resale and they are the product and thereby and the reducing the waste and the extending the life of their the product. Resources efficiency in manufacturing the fillers and has the implemented the closed loop and recycling system and for the plastics and used in their the production and enabling them to the reuse and the 90% of the materials. A sharing platform for the product and the services and the shared and mobility and the services such as the jeep cars and the bike sharing and schemes like the Mobi can have the enabled and users to the access and transportation on the pay per use the basis and the reducing the need for the individuals and ownerships and the associated and resource use and zero waste and the initiative and some of the companies and such and the Unilevers and the Nestle and has set the targeted to the estimated to the eliminated and the waste in there's the operations and the supply chain. For instance, the Unilevers and sustainables and living plans and aims to the achieve and zero waste to the landfill and forms there the factories by the 2020. Best practices at India's level and Reliance Industries and imbalancing the circulars and economic model by the implementing other zero waste and campus and initiative. The companies has also set up either plastic and the recycling plants and that the convert plastics and waste and into the fuels and e-waste management and air recycling is other company and that the specialize and in the recycling and electronics and the waste and it has set up and the several recycling and the center across India and waste to the energy and the project and plant has been and set up in the Okhla and the Delhi and which the convert and waste into the electricity and the plants and process and over the 2000 and ton of the waste and every day and the generated and 60 and W of the electricity conclusion. Thus waste the practices and demonstrated and that other circulars economic can be the realized and thorough and the varieties approaches and strategies and the tolerated and to the specific sectors and the contact. The example above the provides either road map for the business and government and the communities to the adapt and more the sustainable and practices and contributes to the more circular economy. Thank you guys. This session will be closed.